here's the man of the day. I'm so excited and happy.
Yeah, I heard you had some good scans.
I got the best news. I said, oh gosh, a text message with great good news on it. Now just stay that way. We all want you to stay that way.
Nathan, I just sent you a picture
How
to
often do
your
you want you
phone
to come in and get rechecked all the time?
from today.
Probably 6 months again.
Yeah, but that's good.
I guess that's the right
Now,
thing.
if you just get your back straight,
Well, hopefully that surgery will take care of that.
they're gonna operate on your back.
September 28th,
What you gonna do to your back?
fuse L4 and L5.
I hope that works too.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody's eating. I'm eating cough drops. I don't have a cough or anything. I'm just eating.
Go over to the candy
cookie?
box
I
and
don't want that candy box.
get something. Cookie.
Last night I went to Family Dollar. I got a whole thing of Lay's potato chips and a
Ate
thing
the
of
whole
dip,
thing for the morning?
And I was so sick about 3 a.m. this morning. I thought
Serves you right. Why'd you do it?
it was delicious.
And you couldn't stop.
Everybody knows you can't eat just one.
Gosh, I was so in that dip, that French onion dip.
Oh, it's so good. One
Oh, I
calls
felt-
for the another.
I felt horrible. I was sick. I was legit sick. Like I thought I was gonna die.
And then you couldn't sleep with bourbon and Belgian and
I don't even have Pepto-Bismol at home. I got nothing.
you better get you some. If you don't do that very often.
Mary Lou, I know you know this, but this is everybody's question. Who is running this human board?
Appomattox River District.
Hogan is got his son
Right, boys.
and Dutch Henry.
Okay, they're pastors.
And then
Yeah.
and Laura Bryson is running against him. Laura Bryson. And that's Hogan people and the other guy, Todd Hicks, is running, but I don't think he's running.
He's not here, but I am.
Running against him. So that's the way that is. If they have a stagger.
I was thinking about running against Sammy Carter. But I like you guys too much, and I have to make a decision, so I didn't want to leave town council.
Is Sammy running this time around?
No, he
I
doesn't.
just thought it
He's
I thought I'd challenge
they have 4-year terms, and he's only in his second term, so he don't run again for 2 more years. But hopefully he won't run
Who's
in.
the other one that's on the same side?
maybe Nathan, somebody will.
It's Al Jones.
I'm just mad I didn't get put back on the library board again.
Maybe.
And you never will either. Not as long as Sammy Carter has anything to do with it.
Maybe you're too liberal.
And where she wants to live is.
What happened to 6:30? Okay, I'm just checking. Maybe we're not there yet. Yeah, we are.
Wells Fargo, I called Wells Fargo and I lit the doors up.
Call the town council work session for August to order. First item for discussion of speed cameras. Mr. Simpson.
So, this is totally just I'm looking for a consensus of a yes or no if we even want to research it. But I figured off the bar, sorry.
There you go. Thank you.
This one must be me Testing.
Yep.
In our last couple meetings, we've all kind of talked around about parking tickets, speeding, traffic-related things, and the truck route. One thing that I discovered while I was looking through state code just about certain things we do about parking tickets was that I believe in 2020 or 2021, General Assembly passed the ability for localities to set up automated speed cameras, but only within school districts. And I believe it would only be eligible during school hours.
Right, so school areas and work zones are the only place that you can put them.
So I personally don't think it would be horrible if people were getting tickets if they were going egregious speeds. I don't know if it's, I wouldn't imagine it's 1 mile an hour over that you automatically get a ticket or summons in the mail, but some egregious amount, they're automatically, their plate's red and they get a ticket. If you're going 40 miles an hour in a school zone, you need a speeding ticket. I'm not saying people are doing that, I've heard people are doing that, no idea. But if it's something that we are at least interested in exploring, figuring out costs, figuring out what we're actually allowed to do in the code with an attorney's opinion and things, I would love to see us investigate it. I just wanted to bring it to council and see if y'all would be interested.
You know, it's interesting you brought that up, because a few weeks ago, I was talking to Terry, and I showed him a piece of equipment that they have at Alexandria. And it's solar powered, it's like just like a light pole, and it's solar panel on top, and it's got a screen that gives you what your speed is.
They have one in
We
Dillon, I
have
rode
one.
through there today.
And I don't know whether Terry's been able to find out what, it's not too big.
Yeah, I think Jeff and I both have looked at.
The sheriff's department has one.
They have
Yeah, they have
one,
that big thing that sits on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like
a different piece of
a
equipment.
piece that sits like a light pole that we have. And I don't know whether that would be
A deterrent, yeah.
a deterrent, be cost effective or not. But anyway, that's just an idea I had shown him, and I'll just throw that out to you
And that's a
tonight.
little different than what Nathan
Yeah.
Is
was
talking about.
too.
Mhm.
You know, because on Nathan's suggestion, you get the ticket.
Right,
On the sign, you get notified.
right.
Isn't there one like that coming off the ramp going to Kroger's?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I can't tell you how many times I've seen 57, 60, and cars just steady strolling right on by it like,
Yeah. Well, there was one
Well,
today and it
no
slowed
teeth
me
in it.
down.
Yeah.
It slowed me down when I went through Buckingham.
There-
But
There
I
are
know.
options.
I got one ticket there.
So there's a company that they'll set up the equipment and then they basically pay themselves back with a percentage of the tickets. So there's no capital expense. I don't know about the ethics of that, if we want that, because then you're incentivizing speeding tickets from someone. But there's also hardware that we could buy and maintain, and then we would choose whether or not the summons get issued. We would have that authority, I would guess. Yes, sir.
You know, if it's in VDOT right away, if it's a sign, VDOT's gotta approve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all knew that or not.
State code, I think they're friendly to it, I would guess, or they would know that it's allowed now. I don't know what the process for getting approval would be, but this is really, I don't wanna get too far in the weeds with it, but if y'all are generally interested, then we
How
can
far
ask
is
that.
a school zone? So like, let's use the primary school. Is the funeral home the start of a school zone?
It's marked, there are signs that tell you when the.
Okay, when I leave here, I'm gonna ride and look.
Because that's why people doing drug deals at Quickie get a ticket, because that's,
In a school zone.
it is in school zone.
The drug thing's 1,000 feet from the property.
Yes.
So if y'all are
Schools don't want
interested,
to.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
if y'all are interested, could we have just, I guess, a one-pager of maybe a couple options and what our authority is within code?
Certainly.
And then would we even be able to put one at the high school if that's not within our town? That would be one question I have, but.
Right. Because I know, I talked with a couple of vendors at VML last year, because they were the guys that.
That sold the equipment, they,
Right.
yeah.
So I got kind of familiar with it. So yes, I'd be glad to put together like a little synopsis of the different options. And Kim was mentioning, you know, none of that revenue would be going back to the town.
Right.
We're just a convenient payment center for it. I'm just letting you know.
why would
Yeah.
a violation in town go to the county?
That, I
They're
can't answer
the
the history of it. but-
Law enforcement agency for the town.
But if it's a camera,
Is that an MOU? Are you going by our current MOU, or is that state code?
I'm not saying, you know, if that's an MOU,
No, it's not in the MOU. They, when the
Courtesy.
town code was amended to include the parking tickets and the fire lanes and the handicap parking, they asked if it could be, passed through, and town didn't have an issue with it at the time.
I would say on this, we should, if it's not defined in MOU and not required in state code, we should collect the funds and just set it up with, I guess the court would receive the penalty, and then we would just get a distribution from them at some point. And
They have to pay
less
it
the
here.
court fees.
I agree with you
I
on
don't
that.
know. we need to research it, I guess.
Okay, but I'll get you the information.
Yes, that.
Yeah, we really need to look into this because it is problematic. And it's problematic around churches too. I understand the code doesn't address that. But it is problematic there as well.
Where does VDOT lay into this responsibility? I mean, it's their road. I'm just curious, I mean, you get state police, you never see one in town hardly.
No.
Other problem is the one side of SAB 27, one side's in town and one's in the county. In Evergreen Avenue, one side's in the town, and one's in the county.
Yep.
So I guess it
The high
depends whether you
school
catch
is,
them
yeah.
coming or
The
going.
high school itself is.
So I guess it depends on if you catch them coming or going.
That's where I'm getting at.
Yeah, where you would put it.
And we
Well, you would put it where the speed is the most, right?
We would have a camera, and it would be on the proximity to that sensor, whether it happened within town limits or not, I would guess. But these are all questions, I mean, they're great questions, and I think maybe in the next workshop meeting, if we could have it within the next month, we could talk, or maybe at the retreat, we could talk about it.
And the only issue is that it's going to the car. So if I borrow your car and I do it, then you're paying the fine.
Right, there's that issue in the code, and it's come up in some people contesting it.
Yeah,
So,
but not everybody is going to be driving somebody else's car.
true.
So,
And the other question I had, how invasive is it, people's rights, I mean, they if they can see your license plate, they can see in your car and see what you're doing and all that.
Well, it works for that, tolls.
I know,
Yeah.
it's
You got
like
that little
two
thing,
to
you-
it, Is what I'm saying.
And they take your picture.
and you fly through there, yeah.
Yeah, and they send you, because they don't have stands anymore where you can pay tolls. That's gone. They take your picture and send it to you.
Yeah, in Chesapeake they do that.
Would it be
Yeah, I just sent
possible-
Maryland $21
Uh-oh.
Or
for,
is our agenda packed for the retreat? Could we add this as a discussion item
Sure.
there?
Be good to talk to some other places that has put them up and
Yeah.
the positive and negative stuff they had to deal with, 'cause you know how phones gonna be off the damn thing.
Is it like, you know, what is, how does Amherst,
Especially when we wait for it.
handle it? If they handle it at all, the town of Amherst, how does Farm Bill, et cetera, because it's really a problem.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll have a deputy at the primary school. Then they fly down Morton Lane. These parents that are in a rush, But it saves the deputy from having to sit there. It's like people fuss. The deputy gets there, then it calms down. Then they call again. You know what I mean? They can't have a car sitting there to make people slow down.
That's right.
Well, I can tell you from living there, across the street, they come through there going so fast.
Yep.
And one time, Dan and I were in the car, coming in from the post office. He made the signal light, slowed down, and a truck came behind us going so fast, he never let up. He jumped up on the sidewalk and kept getting it. And when I looked up, he was at the bridge. And I thought, oh, we could both be dead.
Yeah.
It was a mess. And I tell people come in my yard, turn around in the grass and go out, because I don't want you to get hurt. Do that all the
Jeff,
time.
were you getting ready to say something about the state police?
He's getting ready for a conversation being had with the state police, where actually VDOT, we'll have a conversation with VDOT, and get VDOT to contact the state, to see if we can get him working on a trailer issue. Don't know how it's gonna go, but it's getting ready to happen.
Okay.
But the sheriff's department was sitting in front of my office doing radar the day or yesterday. So, didn't catch nobody, but it was like,
Well, it's a serious issue.
Great. Thank you.
Any other consensus to move forward with this consideration? Any opposed? Carry on. Next item, consideration of approving an out-of-town water connection request for 3909 Richmond Highway.
it's up on, it's located up there next to, if I'm not mistaken, that's one up there next to Cedar Line, it's a residence.
evidently Google Maps is very much off. Because it had it at the middle of 460 in Spout Spring.
It's up that way, I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look at the exact address, but I know we have one up there on the county water line. I know I've had two of them, I've had one.
It's kind of across from the Scott Springs Post Office in that area.
Is this because of a well failure, or they just want town? You don't know? Not that that matters, I'm just
No, I
asking.
don't, right, I know which one you're talking about now, I got another one coming up, but yes, I know about that one too.
They just
They've
want to
been
be,
talking about it for a while.
okay.
Well, my question is if we do them way out of town like that, and we don't get to use that water line anymore, and we don't get water, we have to go back to Plan B. Are we obligated to provide them water some kind of way?
Yes, once we agree to provide the water.
We don't own the water line, we don't. Not to be rude.
Well, that's what, I mean, I'm asking,
Oh,
because
well-
I don't wanna get us deeper in trouble than we already are.
Right, well, the RFP for water sourcing, began advertising last Sunday. We've gotten several inquiries particularly about language in the RFP, so, engineering firms are beginning to look at it. You know, we've asked for a plan that looks like at a 50-year and a 10-year, needs and those kind of things. So I think we've got enough time, once they give us some options, and they're likely to be expensive, but, you know, we'll have time to make decisions about, we'll have enough time to do what we need to do. And because I don't know if there's anything else we actually could do. You know, I've talked with Frank Rogers, and they're not willing to allow us to take over the county's contract. So unless we are in that position, we would always be having to work through Appomattox County to do anything going on with that water line. And Appomattox County already does not want to deal with Campbell County, so we're doing what we can do.
Is it just a regular 3/4 inch connection? 3/4 inch connection?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure the county is aware, must be aware that Frank Rogers is not willing to turn that contract over to the town.
I know that Sam has talked with the county's attorney to make sure that they understood that, but I don't know that they've talked with Frank Rogers himself.
So this was a point that, you know, we've done this a couple of times over the past 2 or 3 years. We've known that the email's been leaked, that the water contract's not gonna be renewed by Campbell County. And each time we go through this, there's been different voices on council at different times saying, look, if we set this precedent of approving this one now, it's been for businesses, it's been for residential, then how could we further down the road deny an application if there's not a significant change? There hasn't been really a significant change. We still know we're just getting, you know, another year closer. So I don't really see a way we can deny this application because it's a low water user. We already have water users at the furthest extent of that water line, essentially. And if we were to deny them, to me, it would just look arbitrary, unless we really want to set the hard line of not approving any more ever until we get a water solution in place, which I think that's a really
I don't
high
want to do
standard.
that, and what we have to be fair, and we have to, what we allow for one or approve for one, we really have to approve for all. It would not be fair to pick and choose, and I don't want to be the one to pick and choose any of that for
No.
residential,
No,
so.
I don't either, but I will say, how deep are we getting this hole?
Well,
The whole
Miss-
thing getting no deep, I don't think.
All right.
Mr. Elder,
May I
would
say
you
something?
please speak to that issue?
Ms.
at my request.
In her, the paperwork they signed, I'm unprepared probably to answer this question, I may regret talking, but when we started this issue some while ago, I think we added some language to this paperwork they signed in on the county thing, saying the water, they was entitled to water as long as we headed to giving that line. Do you remember that? I think Mr. Shannon,
Yeah, maybe.
Mr. Shannonberger, I think his language in that contract they signed where they explain that.
The water, or the service application.
Yes, that when you come, if X, especially, it don't apply for the town employee, the town customers, but if they do, we have a county water tapping sheet, and we added a language in there, and I can't remember exactly how that language, just know we addressed it back when the conversation first came up, just in case it was issues. And we could pull that, I don't know if it's in that application, or if Ms. Casto has it on hand, but I should have it somewhere in my office, but it should be in the package that that gentleman signed too.
Okay.
But
If
I
that
can,
be the case, we probably off the hook, but I just don't know what we're gonna do if we get a bunch of them and then we don't have any way of providing water.
but I think. when
Because we
Jerry-
don't have the application attached to our packet.
A brief rain shower will begin at your location around 6:48.
So, but I know what you're, I understand what you're saying, but we don't have it.
I don't wanna sit here and tell y'all 100%,
Right.
but it looked like to me it was addressed.
They haven't filled out an application, this is the paperwork.
Just a
I was-
request.
No, well, I'm
Submitted.
sorry,
Okay.
they should have had they should
How
have had
often-
application turned in.
So that's the reason why, I understand that. I wasn't being critical, I
Yeah.
was just saying, when he said that, I was
They will
looking and
sign
I didn't
one
see.
We don't have one.
How often
Yeah.
do they have these requests?
2 or 3 times a year, or 2 times a year.
Is it enough to make, to like,
Make a dent
make
in our
people
water.
nervous about it?
Not
Not
me.
yet?
No.
And the residential side, every one is like 1/10 of 1% of a residential user, so it's.
Not
you know,
that
adding
huge yet.
one is not, if you added 1,000,
Right.
that would be huge, but at the rate that we're adding, it's just very, very marginal.
Okay,
Probably the last 5 years, it's been maybe 3 or 4.
okay.
Something like it. And I know we have one more requested, but I don't think he's gonna do it.
Well, and it's costly on their part, and if they're willing to pay that cost for the hookups, I'm fine with it. And the last one we had was Dickie Lawson. 'Cause
Right, that's right. You're right.
A lot of them in a bind, they could be the fact that they can't perk for another well, or
His well failed,
too
and
close or something.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, like, why would someone do this? Convenience, or the
No,
well's no
his-
good?
but even if they just wanted to do it, we can't be selective and say, no, yes, no, yes. I'm not willing to do that on council. I'm not willing to do that.
Mayor, I move that we approve the water connection request for 3909 Richmond Highway.
I second.
Motion made, properly seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Train Depot exterior hardscape landscape proposal. Nathan Harbin.
Ready?
Roxanne's got a switch.
I don't see Nathan Harbin here.
So the good news is that we are about to start the punch list with the paint. That's how close we are with the paint. There will still be a couple little places, we'll have to have 1 or 2 of them, but, I mean, that is a huge deal. We got 40 feet worth of copper out today on the front side of the roof. And that project is coming to an end, which is, now people are starting to ask me, well, now, what are y'all gonna do with it? So this question, this little presentation is something for you to consider. As a next step. You can see that big white, that's the building footprint of the depot, and those green areas are currently where we have shrubs and trees and those kind of things. Roughly, it's about 900 square feet. And then if you look on the back side, we have over 100 feet of decking, and then, you know, a nice decking on the front entrance, and then some entrance right there where it comes up by the ramp. But one of the reasons we need to do something is because the trees that we have are so large that they are actually pushing the grades up. And those are uneven, and the trees are breaking the sidewalk. So it's a little bit of a safety issue, and it's going to continue to be if we keep that same size tree. You know, we obviously have planned to replace all this, but what I'm pointing out is we at least need to look at these things because it's a safety and a maintenance issue.
Well, that's exactly the problem that we are facing on Lee Grant with the trees, and they've lifted up the sidewalk.
Right.
And people have fallen and had severe injuries. So we don't want that to happen again. So if there's a way we can avoid that, that would be a good choice.
So, and it's both grades, and it's actually causing the trees to split. So the trees actually are gonna die within the next year or so, no matter, I just wanted you to know in case people ask you about why we might be cutting down trees.
Oh, yeah.
It would be because they have a relatively short shelf life at this point in time. Another thing is that
Short shelf life.
the growth around that area, you know, there aren't any borders or edges, and we use a lot of mulch. In a couple places, the mulch is more than 18 inches deep. And the problem with mulch is that it attracts termites, hungry termites. And so you can see they've chewed up some pretty big areas. Now, these are not structural anymore, but you know, it doesn't look so great. And we got, you know, places that have lots of weeds, and they've gotten so big now that they're kind of obstructing the views, and they really don't allow you to use the areas for anything else. And I don't know if you can tell, what I've tried to do with that yellow line is to show that the tree is actually growing crooked because it's trying to get to the sunlight.
Right.
So the good news is that there's plenty of space that we could use, you know, in some ways that we might not have thought of before. And this is that area where we cleared out and put the ramp. So somebody had suggested, and these are just people coming up to me saying, why, hey, for the railroad days, you could have vendors over on that side of the street.
2 days a year.
And that would get them away from the vendors' doors, which is one of the complaints that I hear.
Yeah.
The other complaint is it would get them out of the vendors' doors so they don't hang out in front of Baines is the other one that I get. It's like, that would give them a place to go. So, you know, these are just some ideas that have been thrown out. And I didn't feel like I was smart enough to do it, so I talked to Nathan Harbin. Y'all
Oh, we absolutely know him. He worked on the Festival Park when it was created.
Nathan was planning to be here tonight. He said he felt like he might have COVID.
Oh, dear.
So he called about 5 o'clock and said, I'm not gonna make it. So he has put together a proposal, you know, and this is like, hey, this has been painted, everything except the sign. Let me back up a little bit.
Has he submitted the proposal? or
Yeah,
did you-
he's given a scope of work, and so what he would do is do a detailed plan, landscape plan of what we could do with, you know, just a proposal, what we might want to consider doing with that area.
He used to work for Harvey Design.
Right.
And he is a landscape architect, and he had a big integral part in, because the town did, so we wanted him on board, and he had quite a big integral part of planning what would go in the festival park.
Well, and he
So, I mean, we
actually-
have confidence in him.
He said he did some stuff on the downtown.
He did.
Revitalization stuff.
He
too.
did.
So,
What, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but the slide that you were on just a couple seconds ago about venue 1848.
oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm just curious if you could give some background on that.
So the folks from Venue 1848 walked up the street and said, you know, because they have weddings and stuff
Right.
like that, they said, geez, we would love to have, you know, a place where one or two people could break off. And that basically is the back side of the track, but it's almost right across the street from them. So if you had a couple of tables or something sitting out there, that's an area, you know, they mentioned they would like to be considered for use. So, but if you look at this, you know, this is all low profile, green shrubs and stuff. It really looks pretty good. And now I think it's a pretty good time to consider doing something with this area. Nathan's quote is $5,700 to do a detailed plan, you know, what plants to go where, placement of benches, trash cans, to do a complete analysis of the area that was defined. And again, he was planning to be here to answer, but he said, I just didn't want to come and give you guys any of that.
And we appreciate that.
Because COVID is raging again.
And that is the scope, those are the key points from the scope of work. I included it in that update that I sent out to you, and it has more details in it. But my request is that you would approve $5,700 for the scope, for him to complete the scope of work.
That's just for the planning.
That's just for the plan.
Well, I tell you, since we've gone this far, and the building's looking so good,
Yeah.
let's go and finish it off.
Terry, is he gonna look at the pines on the end of the street too?
The,
At the pine, the bushes at the end of the street in front of,
everything that's in the square.
Yeah, and
you
those,
may wanna,
those
I'm not being
other-
rude, but if you could maybe look at the both ends of Main Street, it's these, I don't know what they call, bushes right there across from Granny B's and then the Bobby
Okay.
Swanberg's and around the end of the depot too.
Right.
yeah.
I mean, if you look, if y'all, if you're looking to reconsider all of it, I would probably, I would tend to.
Not this.
No,
I'll look
the
at
other
that
end.
too, but on the other end of Main Street toward Bobby Swanberg's, it's these
Okay.
cedar bushes and they're right there
Right.
next to Coleman's Feed Store when you come by the fertilizer.
Okay.
If you're gonna do, cause
Yeah.
you could
well,
probably
we-
get, it'd look uniform and more designed if you recreated everything.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure he would be glad to.
Yeah, they're
Right.
old and like they're, it was a popular plant probably when they were put in, but they are getting,
Go to hand.
yeah.
Because when I look at that and I think it looks nice and that hedge and all, I'm over that. I want something different. I don't think, I no longer go, oh, that's really great. I think it's,
It takes away from the building too.
it does, it's an eyesore.
Chokes
And we're
it.
putting all this money in the building and we have all these hedges overwhelming it. That's how I look at it, but I'm only
too.
one. I'm
And a
only
bike
one
rack
person.
would be
All
so
that mess
awesome.
right there and that big old tall tree, cut it
That would be
down.
great to see one of those downtown somewhere.
I have heard one complaint about the paint job.
Uh-oh. Lay it on us.
Someone thought, and I kinda had to quite agree with them, that Union Blue and Confederate Gray would have been a lot better schemes. Just saying.
Well.
It's very, very
And I
noticeable.
can only provide the response that we paid for a historical paint analysis, and the paint has been restored to the original paint colors. The only exception to that are the window sills, because they didn't have anything done to them. And so, you know, we looked at it and we thought gray probably would be, but everything else is 1923.
Somebody asked me, and I
But it
sounded
does
so
look
smart
good.
when I told them that. I was like, that's the original color.
Good for you. And you're like, I'm smarty at a
I was like,
party.
I know train stuff. It does look good. It's so noticeable.
It's really standing out. I think people are talking about it. They really are.
Yeah, we get them snaky plants out the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gnarly and ugly.
So I'm entirely in agreement with the $5,700 study, or planning. One question I have for the rest of council, you know, we are getting to the point where people are asking what you're gonna do with it. And what I would like to see, is us to form a very pointed and short-lived, we're not asking people for a long commitment out of this, but let's say 3 meetings or 4 meetings, an advisory committee of maybe 5 or 6 people, and not the usual suspects of who we, always get advice or opinions from. Really, let's dig and try and get unique voices of folks to maybe come up with ideas of how we could use it. And just see where it goes. Let them have 3 or 4 meetings, come up with some sort of idea list, and then we get to decide, if we want to do any of them, but we could at least hear from the community.
Deja vu all over again.
It
We
is.
sort of did it, but,
Right, but we never settled.
No,
You never made any decisions.
no, that's right.
And I think, I like what you said, and that I think we need some creative people, thinking outside of the box people.
Motivated people.
Yeah,
And we'd each have to dig into our network and almost voluntold someone, because no one is gonna sign up for this thing if we just advertise it.
you're right.
No.
Well, people with crazy ideas will.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
You know,
those
a
people
couple
are
of
waiting.
us
They're waiting.
give
But
me a chance, right?
And maybe a couple of council people serve on it too, so that, just try to keep the ideas from going so expensive and.
Off the rails.
We couldn't possibly do it if,
If each member of council will approach and see if they can get consideration for one person each to serve, that would probably be the best, or a good way to
do
select
it.
such a committee.
Yeah. And we could tell them it is short-lived, it is not a long-term commitment. We just, if they would commit to even 3 meetings over the course of 3 or even 6 months, that would probably be sufficient. Some new voices would be good.
And we do have a good file on what has previously been discussed. so
Yes.
you could give them
the
something to
starting
start with.
point.
Yeah.
You want us to go ahead and contact them? See if they'll
I
serve?
would like to see that each person bring back a name that they can, whoever they can coerce into joining this
Coerce.
committee.
for the next meeting,
Yep. We'll do it for the next workshop, I think.
But
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to be in town.
Yeah, I don't think being a town resident would be a
I
requirement.
mean, in the community, we're for the community, not just the town. All right.
I already have somebody in mind, and I don't want you to duplicate me, so I'm gonna tell you, don't do that.
I got 4 options right here. So
I've already got somebody.
on the list.
And it doesn't have to be in town, so that
No,
broadens
right.
the scope. Okay, I got a couple people.
I think that my person still lives, I don't know, they're highly connected to Appomattox, so.
That's okay.
We shall see.
Yeah.
I'll do my best to find one as well.
Do we have any idea when, like, if we reach out to this person, when should they, we just need to know
Expect a
that
phone
they'll,
call
Yeah,
from us.
I think
that they'll do it, but we don't know when they'll do it?
do a meeting in the 3rd week of October, a meeting before Christmas, and then
Okay.
maybe another one before Easter at some point. And then let's take that information and actually act on it next year and set it as a goal.
As a note, I would like, with Terry's consideration on this, invite them to the retreat for lunch. Have them get together or see if they can. So everybody meets everybody and then figure out their plan for meeting schedule at that point and tell them we want to try to get results before the end of December.
Yeah, I think with this, the types of people that we're probably gonna interact with, they're gonna be hesitant and they're gonna wanna know exactly the time commitment. So we'd say it'll be a start, 45 minutes to an hour on our council retreat day. We'll be very pointed about what we talk about. We're not gonna get off track here. And then from that point, you guys can set the pace of it, but really all council wants or expects at the end is, and would appreciate at the end, is some sort of community input and guidance on what to do with the building.
And not only that, but I will tell you this, these individuals will want to have a tour of the inside of
Yes.
it, because they have no clue, they probably hadn't been in there in years. Maybe they have,
Maybe not, some have not been at all.
that's right, but they want to get a good look at what they're thinking about.
So that's a great idea. How about instead of the retreat, let's do maybe like a morning coffee, and we have everybody, we do the first meeting there, and then from that point, we don't have to hover over them.
True.
But we can just do the tour.
That might be better.
Okay.
And it could be possible that we find a
At eight-
cost-effective
About
outside
8:45,
facilitator.
I can be there.
I've
Not on
seen-
council day.
I've seen outside facilitators be really effective in things like this, so it's not just us, you know.
It's coming up with the same
bringing
old
down the- Right, exactly, so, I mean, you could probably find.
boiled ideas.
A couple $100 a meeting, like $200 a meeting or something to come, and
Has a motion been made to give him the money to get this started?
No.
no,
No, it has not.
I will make that motion.
second.
Motion made, and properly seconded to release $5,700 to
Nathan Harbin.
Nathan Harbin to provide a plan of landscaping, hardscaping, and other fixtures around the depot. Any further discussion? All in, this is by voice vote. Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Boyce.
Yes.
Ms. Spiegel,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Ms. Bucket.
Yes.
I vote 6-0, motion carries. Any further discussions on the train depot?
I just want to thank everybody for having pursued this and for Jeff that kept after us to do it. And I think it's been wonderful, and I'm getting a lot of good comments from people about how nice it looks.
All right. This time, council comments. Ms. Puckett.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Mr. Simpson.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Garrett. I'm good. Ms. Spiegel.
Yes, I have something I want to bring up. I have had more than once and more than one person ask me to tell them why our council meetings are no longer accessible for them to watch. And they remember when it was on Facebook. And we started doing that on Facebook because of COVID, because we have to be public. Our hearings have to, our meetings all have to be public. And so we started doing the Facebook thing because we couldn't allow an audience to come in because of COVID. And that ended, and we stopped doing the Facebook Lives, and we don't do it on YouTube. It was suggested by one person, why don't you put it on YouTube or put it somewhere? And I understand that Carlton, records these and puts them on a live TV. I've been here long enough to know that, and that's fine. But the person, two people said, I don't get cable TV.
Right.
So I can't see that on cable TV. So you don't have it on your website, you don't have it on Facebook, you don't have it on YouTube. How is that presenting it to the public? This is not me speaking, this is what I've been told. And I would say, I said I will bring it up. Why are you not having your meetings be accessible to the public? I said I will bring it up, and I discussed it with Ms. Casto. She suggested I bring it up during council concerns, so there it is. So what all do you all think? It would be the solution.
If I might, Mary Lou also mentioned it to me.
I did.
I talked to Carlton, and I asked him if he would just talk a little bit about putting together something for you so that you'd have, more than just one or two options. So,
Okay, good.
Carlton, you mind talking a little bit about?
I just put it out there so I could start a discussion.
Going back, and like Mary said, excuse me, when we were doing this during COVID, it was somewhat of a mandate, I guess, but we went back and watched the numbers, went back and looked at all the numbers during that scope of time those months it was on, and the average totaled out to about 3 people
3 people.
that
Those are
watched
probably
it.
the people that contacted me.
Well, but some of them were people that really had no interest. So, not putting that down, but there's several ways it can be done. Yeah, it is on live TV, and we're going to talk about maybe too, and I've talked to Roxanne about this before, of moving our times that we have the program on to have it on sooner in the week rather than just Friday and Saturday. It's aired 4 times, twice on Friday, twice on Saturday. So just for the sake of putting it fresher to the public, I think moving it up in the week could be a good thing. It doesn't affect you except just to help to notify your public of that. And we can do the same thing. We can put crawlers on screen to let people know. So there's ways to compensate for that. There's a lot of technology today in what they're doing. I mean, I was at prosthetics just the past week, and next week I'm getting microprocessor chip feet that I can walk and actually it will feel the rocks and compensate going up a hill, down a hill. There's so much technology. I mean, even in feet, the
That's
technology is amazing, and I welcome it. In what you're looking at doing, there's a lot of technology in that also. There's ways of doing it. We do a Mevo camera in our worship services. Of course, we do TV. We can do live TV. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on just about every media source that there is. We do that as a church, and it's for a purpose of getting the message out. For what you're doing, I think what I told Terry is, I'll have it for you at the next meeting, to look at and see what are some of the options, what are the costs, and then to bring that back to you so you can have a better way to make a decision. I think the process that we used before, and that process is still in place, except we used a pretty simple laptop computer. And we all know laptop computers do not have the best cameras in them, especially these smaller, cheaper laptops. If you want to spend some money like I did on my laptop, yeah, the quality is cutting edge. But, there's other ways to do this through a Mevo camera, other ways. We have the tools here for the audio feed that we can use the box that's behind me on that wall to hook into whatever source. We can bring it through, straight through the soundboard, and straight through the capture means of getting the broadcast out. And then there's other ways you can do it. If you don't want to do a Facebook feed, you can just duplicate what we do and drop it in on YouTube. Your new website's coming up here soon. You can just put a link on that, and people can click to that on a computer and see it. Well, what's the most economical? What is going to give you your best bang for the buck? And do you just want to put meetings on? Or are there other things that you might want to put on that would be accessible on your website that people may not get off of a meeting scenario, but events, activities, all the things that goes on in this community. On a YouTube basis, you can do more control that. Of course, you've got to have a YouTube account. I think the town does have a YouTube account. Yeah. So my suggestion to Terry was to give me a couple weeks, let me look into a couple potential ways that you may want to do this, and then let you choose that way.
That sounds good.
Because that was asked to me too earlier when I
They have. I
first-
mean, it's just we need, and the answer is not to say, well, if you want to watch our meeting, you need to come in person, because that's just pretentious. We can't ask our citizens to come here at every meeting and sit there and listen to the whole meeting, because it's just not very fair to our citizens.
Question two, though.
They can if they
Are
want
they just
but-
wanting to watch the meeting in case there's a hot issue coming up? Or are they wanting to watch the meeting every month that's on to be better informed?
I think that was what was implied to me, but I can't tell you for sure.
I just think the numbers from when you had COVID going on, which was not impressive.
It wasn't.
That you had 2 or 3 people watching it, and sometimes it was simply because we watched it to see what it looked like, you know?
And then too,
That's
we had
the
people,
market counts.
we had people say, well, I watched it, but I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
The audio was horrible. I couldn't hear what anybody was saying. I couldn't see anybody. And so I just said, that's a waste of my time. That's also a comment, so.
Well, if we've got this new website and it's possible, it seems to me like that would be a very logical way to do something, and we could use it for other things as well.
But the YouTube is,
Keep
would
people
also.
updated on these projects and all kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
That could be a great tool if that's
A
financially
brief rain
feasible.
shower will begin at your location around 7:40 p.m.
So, what I would like to see, because these are all simple technology things to solve, it's just, I think Carlton's kind of been waiting on us to make a decision or to ask him to do this, because we've been talking about the camera stuff for a long time. So, we have the technology and equipment, we can come off the board for audio, and I'm assuming there's probably a simple solution for video as well. We just have to ask Mr. Duck to execute. One thing that I think would be good to demonstrate that we actually want to do this and to make sure we do act quickly, is for the next meeting, let's at least do what we used to do, which is the laptop. We can do that immediately. And then we just get better from there. If it takes 3 meetings from now to get the good camera feed up and running, that's fine. Or if it takes 6 meetings from now, that's fine. I would like to do that. And then would it be possible to start uploading from what the file you're already creating, to upload that to YouTube? Like just tonight's meeting, could we upload to YouTube?
I do that.
Yeah,
When I
we-
receive the file the next day, I save it to our YouTube account. I just don't have anywhere to put our YouTube account. I mean, I
Because we don't have
can't put it
website.
on the, I don't know how to put it on the website.
Okay, because I
yeah.
searched on YouTube, I just didn't see.
Yeah,
it.
because I didn't either, and I mean, these people said they had looked.
Could I offer you a suggestion?
Yeah,
I think let's give Terry time to get your webpage up, functioning, and get all the bugs out of it. It's 100%. I understand what you're saying, Nathan, about just hooking it back up and doing it again. I'm not sure if it's not going to cause more frustration, because you may have good audio, but if your video quality is in the mud, it's just giving people another tool to complain. And I
yeah.
don't say that sarcastically. I'm just saying, what we give the people, let's give them quality. But let's say it's being worked on to develop, to come back and to give you the quality. And you may want to do all those things. You may want to put it on Facebook. You may want to put it on your YouTube account, on your website. I mean, there's several ways. But I think it's going to be more of a frustration, because they're going to say, well, you can't, I can't hear it, I can't see it.
We're back
I'm
to square
aggravated,"
one.
And they get
Yeah.
aggravated and cut it off. So I don't know, and I don't want to presume something here, or assume something rather. But I think if you give your website time to get functional and sharp, just like doing the depot, you want to do everything, and you're looking at now getting into next year to get that determined. I know these are more time-based things, but what you do, you want to do it right, right? Sure. And let's work the tools that you've got, so when you throw it out there to your people, that they have the quality that they're looking for.
'Cause
But they could watch this YouTube in the meantime, right?
But is it being put on YouTube?
I uploaded them again today.
Yeah, I see them. I just found some.
Or the town council meetings are on YouTube?
We've got the last,
And this is.
What is the I mean, where do we,
Town of Appomattox.
just put in town.
I just Googled
Look,
it.
get that over off
If I
there.
could say something.
Town of Appomattox.
What I really wanna nail this point home is that Carlton and Roxanne, this has entirely not been y'all's problem. We've known since day one, y'all have had the tools to solve this. It's been us. It's entirely been us not to, asking you guys to look into it or to execute on it, because we have disagreed, I think, at some points as to whether or not we should live stream them or post them. So it sounds like at this point, we all wanna do it, and
Yeah.
I
That's
guess
it.
we can ask for y'all to research that but on what timeline do
And
you
I
wanna
could
do
work
this?
with Roxanne too. I could work with Roxanne and our folks about getting it on YouTube where you don't have to do it,
Okay,
but we can do it.
okay.
Because, I take it back tonight and we send it to her in the morning. And it's done. And that's for her to develop. Now, the program for the first council meeting, and I don't know if you really want to put your workshop meeting on. I think you've got to look at it definitively. What is your workshop meeting for? It's a workshop. It's where you're developing. And then your council meeting is more of a presentation to your community of what you're doing. So I think you may want to protect, and I'm not, again, telling you what to do, but you may want to think about protecting your workshop meeting and keeping it pure in what it's determined to do, and just put on, and you've got other media sources, and that you can put that on to inform the public about what you're doing. But, and there again, if we put it on Facebook, on YouTube, you've got to have a means of dispersing that information to your public to know that it's there too. I'm trying to look at it economically for you too, rather than just going out and spending a bunch of money and then you turn out, oh gee whiz, only 2 people watch the thing. And, you got to look at and be good stewards, because that's what your responsibility is. I'm not preaching to you, but it's just a natural thing. It's in my blood. I'm sorry. But, you got to be good stewards of what you have in your hands to facilitate and to do the best with what you've got. And if something is not producing, my theory is if it's not working, don't keep doing the same thing over and over if it's not working. Do things that's going to be productive and informative to your community. Okay, that's my soapbox. I'm quiet.
Well, I think you're right. I think if we take our time and develop this, rather than just a knee-jerk reaction to it, we'd probably get it better. That's a good point, sir.
Taking us a long time to get that need to jerk. And that's our fault. We just, yeah. But, I'll tell you how, in my opinion, the YouTube version video of the county meetings, I don't regularly watch them, but if I get a text, and everybody else does, woo, a hot button was going on, did you see it, did you see it, go look at it, and then everybody goes
Shares it.
and looks at it. That's the way that,
The quality's bad.
Did they streamline the county?
No.
it's
The quality's not good. You don't know who's talking.
it's hard
Because
to,
it's a stationary camera.
it is.
And you don't know who's doing what.
So
And
we
it's not
can,
a criticism.
we,
It's just a fact.
we can do better, right?
Well,
Not that we're in a competition, but we can take that as an example and say, well, we can do this in a better way,
do it right.
right? I don't mean to imply we're in a competition with them, Lord knows. Well, thank you, and I'm glad to hear this, and we need to start work on that ASAP.
Mr. Boyce,
Now,
your turn.
I'm good,
Council
thank you.
comment. Thank you, sir. Ms. Allen.
I'm good.
Okay, then.
Standing committee reports, finance,
I get nothing.
infrastructure, ARPA. Staff reports. Ms. Ray, would you like to lead this off?
Not a lot to say, we have 1 month I'm reporting on, that's the first month of the year. Just wanna mention, you have in front of you the offer, progress report, that's based on everything we voted on so far and where we stand, so, nothing new to change as far as I know. I think I kept up with all our little changes and everything, so that's just a progress report as to where we are today. As far as the financial report, again, I'm reporting only on July, which is 8% of the year, 1 month of, 12. So, one thing I wanted to bring to your attention, and I'll let you just kind of easily look through that, the general fund is showing, negative, and I know y'all not used to seeing that, but wanted just to comment that when we start out the first of the year in July, we usually have some expenses we have to pay because new budget. And so basically it's a timing issue. One of the ones I think I bring up every year is the workers' comp, which is for the entire year, that's 16,000. Then I did, I think include is the Railroad Festival, made their donation. So there's 26,000 right there, and that's in the month of July, which is not a month that we see a lot of revenue.
And the donation to the, whatever it's called,
Yeah,
not the not the railroad festival, but didn't we agree to give a donation to the, whatever?
Experience Appomattox.
Yeah,
Is that what you're thinking?
that.
So that would be another. So
Yeah.
when you open budget, some people will be like, can we go ahead and get our things, which that's fair.
Mhm.
So on a month to, so with 1 month, that's why we probably dip a little bit, but on the same note, we just sent out, property, invoices. So that's what I say, it's an up and down. We're not like water and sewer that bills every month. But and then we still have meals tax every month though, so.
Mhm.
So this is just a rare moment, that's just the general fund starting out its first month. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention,
So you're saying they can only get better?
yeah, that's right, that's right. And, as far as a whole in the general fund, I think everything's moving along. I was looking at the comparison sheet, which has the comparison of your, revenue between last year and this year. This would be the sheet that looks like that. Okay, yeah.
Sorry,
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah, I just have a family commitment that I have to leave.
That's what
I
you
will diligently review this.
Bye, Nathan.
Adios.
Bye.
We'll give you a queen of committee.
Bye.
Okay, you had a question, someone for me?
Nope. Continue on.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that, this comparison sheet between July this year and July last year, running pretty much the same. We had a big jump in personal property. We had a collection of someone for a couple of years, so that's why we see a big jump there. That was unusual.
So the cigarette tax, is that the whole year's worth? Is it the
No,
24 year to date?
No, that's 15,000 in 1 month. Now, yeah, the way that works is when they come by the cigarette stamps.
Stamp.
That, yeah, and
Both years is a month of, right?
it's a month, 1 month.
So they had something left over from last year, so they only bought 15,000.
Maybe so, maybe so. We have about 9 distributors, so evidently we had an order come in from one of the distributors. Yep, so, and I will say the personal property tax, one reason that now the collection's so much better because of the DMV stops. So when you can't get your tags renewed, you're gonna have to come by to see us, so. They've been doing that for a few years, but we just see it is really working. As far as, the water and the sewer fund, I think we're just, again, if we're at 8% of the month, it looks like, based on seeing this 1 month out in our, actual sales for the sewer fund is right on 8%. So I think the rates are kind of getting more in line, like we had wanted them to be. Seeing this 1 month out single by itself. I did notice that with the water fund, we're at 9, and that's around, it might have been 8.6 or something, 8.6. But the sewer fund is right at 8. So I just want to say that it looks like the rates are starting to, I'll just say, starting to equate better to the expenses, which I know it's a forever moving target, but it looks like we're getting them more in line. That's what I'm
Did
trying
you
to
have
say.
very many phone calls asking about their bills?
Not many, no, not many. We did do our rate increase, and again, the rate increase was only on the water and not the sewer, so. Unfortunately, I think the first bill went out, it was a rate increase and a 5-week bill.
And a 5-week
So
bill.
that was a little, yeah, so, yeah. The only other financial matters, I was gonna tell you that I am still talking with Farmers Bank. We're still trying to go with the vendors being paid electronically. They're starting to work on that. I think that's gonna be a process. It may not come as quickly, but it is very, I just want to say we want to make sure we get it right, because you're talking about directed to bank accounts and everything. And audit, I think, is going to go on probably, it started July 1st, it'll probably end by December. But we're now doing with our internal consultants, trying to get us ready for the auditors who come in at the last week of September. And then they'll start with us on that part. So that's probably going to be touching us, and including Roxanne for HR and payroll and everything, for the next, probably until December. I did mention that the real estate and personal property taxes went out about 2 weeks early, and we changed the invoicing to make it a little easier on the eye and easier to read and understand. And because I think per code, we have to send it out within 30 days of the due date, but we even gave people a little longer, thinking about the mail, and we hope that was helpful. That's all I have.
Mr. Elder?
Talked to most of y'all council members about the tobacco we've been looking to get. Made a couple mistakes. After meeting with for the last couple of weeks, the source well bid we got is for.
Yep.
Grab the mic.
Please, sir.
The source, the bid, the prices come through is $154,157. And talking to Terry and Ms. Ray, in the CIP, I have about $22,000 to $23,000 that I saved on other stuff that y'all already appropriated us to spend in the CIP. So, wanted to talk to y'all, see if y'all would reappropriate that, and I'm still $3,000 short roughly of paying for it. So if y'all did not want to give that, I can take out of my operating budget. And without going through the government bid, the backhoe is roughly $198,000. We get a discount because we're local government.
Well, here's how I feel about it. The use of the backhoe is an integral part of so many jobs that you do in public works, and prices increase, and all of us are keenly aware of that. And so I don't have any problem, and I'm just one person, but I have no problem appropriating an additional $3,000 for that backhoe, which is so keenly needed, as you have explained to us before.
And the reason, the price difference in what we asked y'all for the other week was in a spec error. Went back through the specs and found that that was on my part. I did not check it before we sent it off. And the specs was actually giving us a backhoe quite a bit less than what we are using.
Can we take it out of ARPA?
That would,
Gotta spend it.
yeah, that's a good idea.
No, that's what she's asking, the whole thing.
I was saying the 3,000.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking, the 3,000, the difference?
Or the whole thing.
Or the whole thing.
Yeah, which one you?
Whichever y'all's pleasure.
What color is it, Jeff?
How much, yeah,
Timmy, why don't,
I have pictures.
can
of
we
it.
get it painted?
is it John Deere
Can we
green?
paint it?
No, it is yellow. Safety yellow. But on the
Safety
other hand
yellow.
is, I am gonna sell the oldest backhoe we have. I am trying to find vendors that we can run it through to help me sell it. Cause when we put stuff out to bid, we get minimal prices for it. I think this backhoe is worth quite a bit of money, considering what we've been selling. So I'm talking to different vendors about running it to see where I can get well, I'm trying to figure out the best way to go about selling it where we can get a decent piece of money back for it.
Well, if we can use ARPA funds for the whole shebang, I'm all for that. It has to be spent. And I want it to be a nice color because the
It's
place
yellow.
where I live, I have to see it go up and down Pine Street 1,000,000 times a week. So it needs to be a pretty color.
After the meeting, I would be more than happy to show y'all pictures.
Can we
of it.
customize it? Is the question. What is the
Wrap,
price?
you put a wrap around it with the,
I have been trying to get me a new vehicle to drive at work, and Ms. Puckett will not support me on that. It doesn't cost but $280,000.
Will you pick us all up in it?
That was decked out a little bit. but-
Jeez.
No, excuse me, I apologize for that.
We have the means already budgeted, there's no sense, I mean, do we have to appropriate anything else? I mean, if you've got
Right
the money in the
now.
budget.
Right, if it, in the budget, like he was saying, we have up to, we're 3,000 short. That's in the budget.
So we'd have to vote on 3,000 more.
And I guess that's what I'm trying to clarify, yeah.
And we're taking that out of some savings we've got on some other capital,
Whatever, yeah, that's right, okay, so I just wanted to understand.
so we're just approving this additional 3,000, okay?
I'll make a motion.
No, wait.
Okay.
Hold on, everybody.
Whoa, Nellie!
So, what I think you need to do is to amend the motion that you made on August the 14th, that was seconded by Mrs. Spiegel, rescinding your vote to purchase the backhoe cat model for $121,044, and replacing it with whatever he just told you.
154,
Or 157.
154, 157?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it a cat model?
The same model, same.
Same? Okay.
Yeah. One slight specification difference that
Okay.
was corrected by Mr. Elder.
I will rescind my motion.
Or just amend it? Just
I'm gonna
amend it?
amend it to reflect the current cost. I'll make that a motion.
I'll second it, or you go ahead, don't matter.
Second.
Thank y'all, I'm sorry. Just a technicality.
Thank you for keeping
We're
us,
so grateful for you. We don't
thank
know
you
what
so
to do.
much for keeping us on the rails.
We don't want our auditors to think we bought two of them.
That's right.
And I apologize for that mistake and inconvenience, but I
We-
should have been paying a little bit better attention on that. I should have put more time on that, but I do apologize for that.
That's right.
This right here, we'd have lost all this, the color and everything.
We don't
Motion
need,
made, properly seconded.
need this on
And the
YouTube.
previous
That color
motion,
paint tickled.
change the purchase price to $154,157. Any discussion?
No.
Roll call vote. Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Boyce?
Yes.
Ms. Spiegel?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Puckett?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson is unavailable. By a vote of 5 to nothing, motion carries. We have funds out of capital to get that. Thank you, ma'am. All right.
Is that all you
Is it
have?
all, Mr. Elder?
They started moving the old courthouse road water line on a small scale, they're getting it in, so we started moving that today, made a couple of wet taps. Mr. McGee come out there with us and experienced some
Got
of
wet.
that, so.
Got wet.
We should be we're starting to run electricity on Main Street, that's getting ready to take off, waiting for the concrete people to get back in as soon as the weather
Yeah.
suits in. So they should be laying pavers here pretty quick in areas where you see concrete pouring on. I think they dug out down on Main Street for a little sudden area on Lee Street,
And I was notified by hand this afternoon that in my neck of the woods, which I'm assuming it would be yours and your neck of the woods,
Yeah.
they're beginning smoke
What
smoke
is it,
testing.
Oh, with the
The
tools.
holidays on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Freaks me out.
Wednesday, we
first
should
time.
start smoke testing on the second phase of I and I work on SBR basin.
Yeah.
So we will be working in, from the lower part of town all the way up to Hardee's. We will be smoke testing the system, so if you see anybody, if you experience smoke in your houses, it is not harmful. We will assist people trying to get it out, but if your plumbing is good, you should not never know we die.
But
If your
mine
plumbing's
must have been bad.
you will see smoke coming up everywhere. In which case, we will be talking. Thank y'all.
And the town's not on fire, so.
We know Timmy, the fire department works with us, they loan us positive pressure fans, and we in direct contact with Jonathan and him in 911 while we're working, because we have had him respond. So we try to stay ahead of it the best we can so we don't waste their time.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank y'all.
Mr. McGee.
I'll make it quick. The original Italian pizza, well, I spoke with the owner, it will open in a couple of weeks. He's having a hard time getting subcontractors to work. I talked with the owner of Triangle Shopping Center, he is not selling the Triangle Shopping Center.
Okay.
The Newtown website has been released. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but there is a link to it in the update that I sent you. So we have been asked to finish that, I think, by the 8th of September. And sometime soon after that, we ought to be going live. The sheriff's office is going to plan 3 dates in the coming year to do updates of what they're doing, you know, what kind of calls and how many calls. So they're gonna plan 3. And if you'd like any more, we could get it, but I thought if we got like one every 4 months.
Can I speak to that? I heard back from the sheriff today. They will be here at the next meeting on September the 11th. That'll be
Okay,
their
that
first
was gonna be
appearance.
my next question. When's their first report?
Heard back today.
We're meeting on September 11th.
We are.
We are, isn't that a Monday?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Second Monday.
Second Monday.
I think my baby gets shots that day. I will be there at home to deal with that. I'll be here.
And as you know, the train depot, construction is coming to a close. We're really down to, running on a daily basis. We're trying to knock the last things out. We are meeting with, CBP tomorrow. Jeff Garrett and I are meeting with him tomorrow afternoon.
CDP.
Or
CV.
CVFP, Central Virginia Family Practice.
CDFP. Thank you, sir.
I also met with the regional multi-state manager of GFL. He just happened to stop by last Friday, and he said, "How's service going?" So I made it clear that they missed about 200 folks on the first round. He said, "We will fix that." We will begin again with the restoration recovery of the brownfield consultants. That starts next month.
When you say you begin again, what is that in?
Well, when we first started, we were just trying with the garment factory. You know, that was just a single issue. This takes a bigger look at town in an entire corridor. So instead of just, you know, everything being dependent on the one individual, this will look at the whole area.
Okay.
And mentioned that the water source engineering study is out. If you need any information about, you know, what's really going on with the court case and why, if you need, I'll be glad to sit down and contact you and give you all the information that I have about that. let's see, Church Street Waterline loan closed, we're rolling on that, that's gonna happen. We talked about the retreat.
What's the date of the retreat? Refresh my
We
memory.
didn't give you a date
That's what I
yet.
was thinking.
We were.
When
but
you all were talking,
normally
when
it's gonna
Nathan.
be almost the last week in September.
Okay.
So we will probably try and do something almost, last year I think we did it on Wednesday. Is that what it was?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't
Everybody
remember.
looks
I don't.
at you.
I'm sorry. I wasn't looking up. I don't recall.
But it's expected to be the last week of September.
And we usually always do
Right.
Friday.
Okay.
Because
Would it be
it,
like a all-day thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
but we hardly ever go all the entire day, usually.
We finished up about 3:30.
It was
Yeah.
a Friday. It was a
And,
Friday.
and we were thinking, the hotel or the frozen food?
The hotel.
The hotel.
The
Okay.
hotel has good internet access.
Technology.
What's that?
Technology. More up-to-date technology.
Mr. McGee,
Sir.
September 28th and onward, I will not be available because I will be,
Roxanne
Had
had
back
that.
surgery.
She had that.
I'll be having back surgery
Okay.
at UVA, so,
On the 28th,
on the 28th.
so we need to accommodate his
We'll get you in before,
Absolutely.
or if it's, well,
Yeah.
we won't do it without you.
No, that's what I mean. We really need to. Yeah.
We won't do it without you.
Yeah, that's,
That's all that I have.
I have one thing for you, Adjourn.
Yes, sir.
I laid at each of the council members' areas a public hearing notice. I just wanted to let you know, if you didn't already know. The Planning Commission will be holding a public hearing next Tuesday, September the 5th, at 6. And then the Town Council will be holding its public hearing for the same topic the night of the regular council meeting, September the 11th. And it is concerning 2 zoning amendments. That's on the second page. One is in the R1 district, which is the most restrictive residential district, and then the other is on R3, which is the less restrictive. Both of them include the same things. It has to do with the minimum road frontage available for any one lot. Mr. Fowler has confirmed with Mr. Wright that this is the proper language. We have run the ads in the paper for the public hearings and just wanted you to be aware of what it
Is
was.
this a change in the language? Was
It isn't a change, it's an addition, in
Okay.
addition to. The items in italics are what is being added, recommended to be added.
So is it a minimum now?
No,
No.
no, and we need to have.
It
one.
really does because there have been certain houses that were recently built that are like almost on the road. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm not pointing any fingers, I'm just saying. But that was okay because we did not have a restriction.
This addresses the minimum
This is
width
width
of
of the
lots
lot.
and road access for lots.
Right.
Building.
Setback line, but
Where this really impacts people is like, if you have only a single access to multiple houses on a lot, and so, you know, there's always a question about who maintains that common area. And so this basically
So-
puts it back to, you got your own stuff. You know, so if you build a lot, you're going to have front access to get in and out of your property without having to go across somebody else's.
Okay.
That's the main focus of it.
And was this complaint based?
There was an inquiry of a large, not a large tract of land, but in town, large tract of land.
Yeah.
You know, more than an acre. And could they subdivide it? And,
That's when you started looking at it?
yeah, the road frontage, there isn't a definition really for the road frontage. And so the more Mr. Fowler looked into it, he thinks we should have something that better defines.
Definitive.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
so that it's not,
That's a good thing.
Yeah, you can't make a subdivision out of that.
correct, yeah, so.
I mean, I would like to see it.
Yeah, so, and like Mr. McGee said, this had like narrow road frontage, but most of the property is behind that without road frontage.
Uh-huh.
And so anyway, that's what led to his research and recommendations to
And the
add those
corrections.
two. Yes,
So it
Or
can't be
additions.
it can't be challenged if this is
correct.
moved
He would,
quickly.
yes, he would have the direction he needs to approve or deny the request.
Gotcha.
That sounds great.
So I just wanted to let you know that public hearing is planned for the Planning Commission next Tuesday night, and then Town Council will hear it the following Monday. That's all I had, sorry.
Okay.
That's what Mr. Simpson did tonight, but
Yeah, he left.
Garrett,
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
motion made, properly second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Meeting's adjourned. Turn your mics off, please. Saving batteries.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Which I'm fine with, but